Before we start our program proper, I do want to introduce some people to the stage. We are in the process of picking out plays for next season. Those of you who don't know me, I am Charlie. I am the co-founder and artistic director. Glad I mentioned that, but I think I introduced myself to everybody. We're looking at a couple plays for next season, and a couple of people that work with us a lot are agreeing to read one of the scenes from a play that we're looking into. So let's welcome to the stage Michael McCauley. Okay. From Jeeves Intervenes, as well as Annapurna, and most recently in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? He's a much nicer guy than those characters. And now someone who is totally a jerk. Ever before, Mr. Scott Treadway. Most recently in our production of Jeeves Intervenes, and what else have you been in? That's
True West, Stones in His Pocket.
Oh my goodness, so many. So we're thrilled to have him here. He is he's in rehearsals now. What's the name of the play?
The Affections of Meg.
The director of Jeeves Intervene, as well as many of the plays that you've loved at North Carolina Stage Company, reading one of the roles from this upcoming scene is my lovely wife, Angie Flynn McKeever. So around this time of year, I do a lot of reading, among other things, and we have read a play that we just want to do the opening scene from, and I asked them this afternoon if they would do it, so they agreed. Scott traversed many, many miles of traffic on the way here from Flower.
And I-26 is such a delight.
So, let's hear them read a scene from a play called Jeeves in Bloom, a sequel to Jeeves Intervenes.
Look, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but the snag I always hit with a good story is the problem of where to begin. Thank you, Jeeves. You see, if one fools about too long at the top trying to establish the old, what's the word I want, Jeeves?
Atmosphere, sir?
Just too much time on the rod and half your audience is snoozing. However, plunge straight to the exciting bits and everyone's quickly at sea.
Your tie, sir?
Excellent, Jeeves. Where was I?
At sea, sir. Wondering if it was compelling start justifies possible obfuscation.
Was I really?
You were.
Back up a bit, do you think?
I should certainly advise it, sir.
Right. In the complex case of Gussie Faintnottle, an escaped, newt, and deranged chef, let us harken back in time. It was summer. I'd just returned to London. Now, look for the nonce. Just imagine my flat. Ah, see, well, here we are, eh? What, Jeeves?
Indeed we are, sir.
Seems ages since I left for the Riviera. Pity you didn't come, Jeeves.
Alas, sir, I could not bring myself to Miss Ascot's.
Personally, I prefer the seaside with good old Aunt Dahlia. Also, a very odd girl called Madeline Bassett, some sort of relation on Uncle Tom's side.
Dear me, not a matrimonial scheme, one hopes?
One may rest easy, Jeeves. My Aunt Dahlia is characterized by her general hoot-eggishness. The old girl doesn't give a fig whom I wed or if I wed at all.
You have relieved my apprehensions, sir.
Splendid. Well, Jeeves, any news?
Mr. Finknottle, sir, has been a frequent caller.
Finknottle?
Yes, sir.
What? Gussie Faintnottle?
Yes, sir.
Not in London?
Yes, sir.
I'm dashed. I'm positively dashed.
Indeed, sir.
What I am is dashed, Jeeves, and I shall tell you why.
I am all attention, sir.
Faintnottle, while a perfectly decent chap, is a freak of nature.
Dear me.
Fellow can't abide London. He spent the past 5 years mouldering away in Lincolnshire. My choice. Happy as a lark because he's, well, here's the freakish bit, Jeeves, because he has a pond in his garden where he can study newts.
Sir?
Newts. Ghastly little lizard things. Finknottle suffers from a newt complex. Newts, Jeeves.
Yes, sir. Aquatic members of the family Salamandridae, which constitutes the genus Mole.
Well, Gussie is addicted, deeply. I remember he kept him at school in a kind of glass tank thing.
Schoolboys often do, sir.
And now you tell me the blighter has surfaced.
So it would seem, sir.
Horn-rimmed, specs and a face like a fish.
The gentleman does indeed wear her horn-rimmed spectacles, sir.
And the face?
A slight suggestion of the Piscine, sir.
What the devil would have brought him to the city?
I believe a young lady is to be the cause, sir.
Young lady? Gussie?
Yes, sir.
Jeeves, do you mean to tell me that Gussie Fignoddle, noted newt fancier, is in love?
So it appears.
With a mammal?
I believe so. Telegram for you, sir.
Odd. It's from Aunt Dahlia.
Bertie, stop. Come at once. Stop. Travers.
What the deuce?
Sir,
Jeeves, I am baffled. What can she mean?
it appears quite straightforward.
Jeeves, Aunt Dahlia and I parted at the station only yesterday.
Yes, sir.
After several weeks in my company, what any sane person generally feels is enough is enough.
I take your point, sir.
Take this down, Jeeves. Perplexed, stop. Explain, stop. Toodles, Bertie. Send that off straight away.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't imagine why my favorite aunt was summoning me to the country. Time, as they say, passed.
A reply, sir.
What on earth is there to be perplexed about us? Stop. Come at once. Stop. Travers.
Jeeves, let's fire off a reply.
Sir.
How do you mean, come at once? Stop. Utterly mystified, stop. Pip, pip, Bertie.
Send immediately.
Yes. Hold on. Time passed. Now look, I can't be stopping to say this every few moments. Just have to insert that bit yourself as needed. Yes, Jeeves?
Telegram, sir.
Of course.
I mean, come at once, you maddening half-wit. Stop. What did you think I meant? Stop. Come at once. Love, Travers.
I simply cannot fathom this, can you, Jeeves?
Well,
Send a reply. When you say come, do you mean come to Brinkley Court? Stop. And when you say at once, do you mean at once? Stop. Absolutely false. Stop. At a loss. Stop. Tinkety-talk, Bertie.
Yes, 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 yes. Stop. It doesn't matter whether you understand or not. Stop. Just come at once. Stop. And cease this backchat. Stop. Do you think I am made of money that I can send telegrams every 10 minutes? Stop. Come immediately, you fathead. Love, Travers.
Jeeves, can you make head or tail of this?
it would seem that Mrs. Travers desires you to come at once, sir.
Pop down to Brinkley Court, you mean?
Indeed, sir.
But I've only just returned to town.
Yes, sir.
Take this down. Upon consulting engagement book, find impossible come Brinkley Court. Brinkley Court, stop. Deeply regret, stop. Cheerio, Bertie.
She may not take this in good part, sir.
One must be firm, Jeeves. Sadly, I am forced to employ the iron hand.
Oh, dear me. Not the iron hand.
Scott isn't really as nice as he seems. But I thank you very much for all of you sharing your time and your talent with us for that. That, among other plays, we are reading for the future, next season. We are ending this season now. I really appreciate all of you coming. I want to thank some people before we go any further. Our board of directors, if you are on the board of directors, raise your hand, please. You can see them around here. Uber intelligent and just drop-dead gorgeous people. Thank you very much for your help and support in the North Carolina Stage Company. We have a few people who are on our staff. We have Steve back there. There's Steve hanging out. And CM is there, who does almost everything here. Nina Swan, who is probably with her, our office baby, Veruca. She's probably around here somewhere. And Katori Swan is currently at Flat Rock, stage managing your show. I want to thank Andrea Berkey, who has come down from New York to stage manage Brave New World musical. Those are just a few of the people that work here, and I have the privilege of working with day in and day out. When we have these events, they are considered fundraisers, but we try to do it in a non-threatening way. We don't do tickets or anything like that. There are no gimmicks. It's an opportunity, and we take these opportunities anytime we can to tell people why we do what we do, what's happening at North Carolina Stage Company, what's new and exciting, what the goals are for the future, what the challenges are. And believe it or not, a lot of you may or may not know the story of the origin of North Carolina Stage Company. If you don't, what it is I have a sister who lives in Asheville, and when I moved to New York in 1993, she was starting to have kids here, and I would come down to Asheville and visit as many chances as I could. While in New York, I was working as an actor. I did a Broadway tour called Wit with a woman named Judith Light, who's an amazing actress, off-Broadway plays, film, television, things like that. But mainly what I did was act in regional theaters all across the country. Syracuse Stage in Syracuse, New York, Alabama Shakespeare Festival in Montgomery, Alabama, places like that. Beautiful, beautiful theaters and great programs. But the cities hold nothing to Asheville. Asheville just really rose up in my mind as what a great place it would be to have a theater here, to have a place where people could work as a group and put on professional plays for the audiences and community here in Asheville. So I thought about that all the time. I would meet people in New York. I'm originally from Durham, so I'm from North Carolina. And I would meet people in New York when I would go on acting jobs, and 3 out of 4 of them would say, "Oh, Asheville, I love Asheville. My car broke down on 240 and I lived there for 3 years." I'm trying to get back. It was like Shangri-La. And I mean, it was uncanny, really, like the crystals in the ground, whatever that attracted me. And I was fascinated by how many people, my commercial agent who was born and bred in Long Island and lived in Manhattan, I just booked a commercial, and I was telling her I wanted to start a theater, and she said, "Where?" And I said, "Asheville." She's like, "Oh, I visited college, college there every year, and I want to be there." And so it was just bizarre. And then I met Angie, our co-founder, who is the other person I should make sure we introduce as that capacity, co-founder of North Carolina Stage Company. We went on our first date in 1999, January 1st, 1999, as a matter of fact. And we went to see a movie called Waking Ned Devine. I was actually trying to learn my Irish accent for a play I was doing that was rehearsing in her studios. She was the education director of the National Shakespeare Company. And she coordinated a tour that took hour-long versions of Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet out to 40,000 students in the tri-state area, and she would teach them along the way. She would do residencies, and the actors would go in and teach them Shakespeare's language, teach them fight choreography, and then she would do these productions. She tells the story of one time she was in the back row watching one of these, and Lady Macbeth says something about dashing the brains out, plucking my baby from my nipple and dashing her brains out. You've seen the place, you know. It's not a spoiler, okay. And it's not a scene from Game of Thrones. And one of the kids in the back row said, "I didn't know nipple was a Shakespearean word." So she really brought a lot to these students, and it was really, I mean, I will tell you, there were more, profound things. But I will tell you, it was very attractive, that she did this kind of program. And then she told me that she was from Charlotte, like North Carolina. And then she told me she assistant directed on Broadway with a play with Ellen Burstyn in it, and that she had interned or apprenticed at Playwrights Horizons, which was one of the great theaters in the United States for new works. And that was just really, I mean, she was just laying it on thick. All the things that sort of attracted me. And then she said, but what I really want to do is move back to North Carolina and start a professional theater. And I said, really, where? And she said, well, Charlotte already has a lot. I keep thinking of Asheville. So I got down on my knees and I asked her to marry me. Not too long after, maybe a year. But literally, we've been talking about this since our first date. One of the things that always surprised me about running a theater company like this is how many times people ask me why we do what we do. How many times I have to justify what we do. And it's for different audiences. So I have business people who run businesses, and they want to know how giving to North Carolina Stage Company, or even why we should exist. I've been asked, why are there so many arts organizations in town? Why are there so many theaters in town? To which I say, I don't know, why are there 8 restaurants on this block? Why are there 13 churches between my house and downtown? There's a need that they fulfill, right? There's food, there's spirituality, and the arts fulfills a need. But when you're talking to business leaders, they don't necessarily hear that. So you talk about the tourism and how you bring people in. The 18% of your audience that comes from out of town and spends money in your establishment. When you talk to lawmakers, they want to know what the economic impact. So I have to say to them, Asheville has a $43 million economic impact of arts organizations in town that provides about 1,400 full-time equivalent jobs. Those are facts. But when it comes to donors and people who come to the theater, subscribers, buy tickets, what I tell them is what I tell the actors. And so when we started North Carolina Stage Company, it was out of a desire to feel less of a mercenary when we would go to regional theaters across the United States. We were never connected to the mission of the theater, or the community for that matter, and its relationship to the community. So we wanted a place that felt like a part of the community, where you might be running down the street and you see a guy that you've seen in a play. And you go, I like that guy, he's one of my favorite actors, or I like that woman, they're one of my favorite actors. So they're a part of your community, like your doctor, your nurse, your pharmacist, your butcher, whatever. They're sort of a function in the community. And I came to this conclusion after working with a woman named Patsy Rodenberg, who's one of the foremost vocal coaches in theater in the world. You could probably name one of the great performances you've seen on stage or film, and she was responsible for helping the actor get there. And I was lucky enough to be participating in a master class. There were 3 of us that were doing scenes from Shakespeare, and she was working with us. One of the stories she tells is, doing this master class, is how she was doing a book signing, and there was an agitated gentleman in the corner who was not having a good time. And she kept noticing it. And Patsy has this thing about being present. One of her books is called Second Circle, which is about being present with people in front of you. Actors have a unique ability to be present. While all the stuff that's going on around them, while the sets and lights are changing, while all this stuff is happening, they have this remarkable ability to be present with a group of people, to speak to them, to speak with them, and not speak at them. And so she's really big on that. But her sense of second circle was being tested by this gentleman in the audience who was being very agitated. So she finished her talk, and then she had a book signing afterward, and the guy kept hanging around. She realized she was going to have to talk to him in front of him. So he comes up and says, you're in the theater. I don't like the theater. She goes, okay. Why don't you like the theater? And he goes, last year I saw this play about Greek and women. And she goes, the Trojan women. Yes, of course. He goes, yeah, I didn't like it. She says, why not? And he says, the actress in it made a sound when she found out her child had been killed. She goes, oh, yes, the child, the baby dies, she loses the baby, and she's very upset. And he goes, yes, so the noise just was very uncomfortable. And she says, I'm sorry. He goes, no, that's not the point. The point is that a year later, I got a phone call saying my daughter had been killed. And I found myself making that exact same sound. And that the actress had gotten it right. And Patsy always says, when she tells this story, is that bless that actor who told the truth. She made someone uncomfortable, but performed something that was honest. And he experienced a truth that he wasn't really ready to hear until he discovered why someone might make that noise. And so that's a profound impact on me, that story. But the other thing, which I have never told anybody, is doing the workshop with her, the master class. There were 3 of us, as I said, and we had to do Shakespeare monologues. I was doing a monologue of Hamlet to his mother, Gertrude, when he confronts her after all this stuff has gone down. She's married her brother-in-law, and Hamlet's very upset. With the other actors, she had made them like do physical exercises to free their breath, because that's a big thing that actors need to do. But with me, she stopped me, and she came over to me, and she whispered in my ear, and nobody in the audience heard this. It was 500 people watching this. And she got right down beside my ear and said, "What are you doing? You seem to be waiting for permission. You have way more power than you should. What are you waiting for?" And with that permission, I let it all loose. And I knew from that moment on, I never wanted to perform any other way except the fully committed way that she was talking about. And through that, you are able to see things that maybe you're not ready to see, but you're able to see characters in the moment, being present, going through what they go through as part of the narrative of the play. And we find that incredibly powerful. So, fast forward to starting North Carolina Stage Company, and what we try to do here is we decided to create an education program that would take that kind of idea, that attention to detail, that honesty. And so we take teaching artists, actors, into schools, and we teach the core curriculum, but through theater skills. And I recall one great day, I was having these kids do a theater game where they had to build onto a machine. You had to guess who the person was, what their occupation was. And you had this one kid going, he would do this over and over again, sort of like act angry. And everybody knew who he was. And I didn't know who he was. And I said, "Who are you?" He goes, "I'm the mean lunch lady." Everybody laughed. And I said, "Wow, that's interesting. Why is she mean?" "I don't know, she just is." Now that answer never flies, and I do have actors say that to me sometimes when I direct them, and I never let them get away with it. No, there's a reason this is happening. So why is she mean? I don't know. She's always mean. Yeah, but why might she be mean? I don't know. She's working hard? Yeah, why is she working hard? I don't know, her back hurts? Why is her back hurt? Because she's been working 20 shifts a week. Why has she been working 20 shifts a week? Because she has to feed her kids. Why does she have to feed her kids? Because she loves them. And so he shifted from this transactional relationship he had with her to this transformative relationship he had with her by asking the question, why? And having a more empathetic response to that person than heretofore had been the mean lunch lady. His relationship was changed with her forever. So we want to do that with students as we go into classrooms. We want to make plays and theater that do that. So the result is, when I tell people what we do and why we do it, we've got a bottom line. We have to raise money and sell tickets, but there's an intangible return on investment that money almost can't pay for, but it is required. And that's why we're here thanking you all for the support that you give North Carolina Stage Company. Because whether it's the woman who has come to Jeeves Intervenes for the 3rd time, and when you ask her why she came for the 3rd time, she tells you that her husband died 2 years ago, and after she came the 1st time, she realized she hadn't laughed in 2 years. It's the woman who comes up to us after stalking the boogeyman, which is about sexual abuse, and says to me, "I've never told anybody in my life that my uncle abused me. My mother told me to never talk about it again. She was 70 years old and she was a day. And no one had ever validated her story until she saw that play." It's the man who came up to me after our production of Hamlet and noticed the scene between Hamlet and his mother and said, "I never understood why I was angry when my mother passed away until I saw your performance." And those people are always in the audience. whether it's your first performance, your 20th performance, or your 200th performance. And the thing that we do well here, and the thing that we do different from everybody else, is that is the attention we pay to every single time. And so when you want to know, what do you get for your money when you donate to North Carolina Stage Company or buy a ticket to North Carolina Stage Company, you get that transformation. And that is why we thank you for it. I want to show you one quick video, and then I'll be right back. That's what we do. There are a couple of exciting things happening right now that I want to make you aware of in the present and the near future. Between December and February, we raised $200,000, $150,000 of which from one donor, which was a pledged donation. If we could raise $50,000 in additional money than what we normally raise for our annual fund. And that is to go to a new strategic plan, which will bring aboard a full-time development director for North Carolina Stage Company over the next 2 years, as well as start some programming, one of which is to take Shakespeare and other plays out to people in prisons and homeless shelters and soup kitchens. We're very excited about that. We have also, in the past couple of years, done a couple of world premieres. And the current one we're doing right now is Brave New World. Those things don't just happen. So we have garnered enough of a reputation. We are starting to get noticed in New York when people are trying to try out new plays in Asheville that have intentions for larger Broadway productions. I can't say that they are going to Broadway, but that is certainly the intention when we have in residence here a Grammy Award-winning composer and a Tony-nominated lyricist for 4 weeks working on Brave New World. So it's very exciting, but it is also a part of stuff that is above and what we normally do. And so our annual fund is what we always have to ask for money for. Many of you participate in that, and we thank you. In your bag that was handed out during the video, there are some goodies. There is a treat from Lex 18, there is a coffee mug from North Carolina Stage Company, and there is an envelope. At your leisure, of course, and it does explain how this Beyond the Lights fundraiser is about our annual fund. What we're really trying to do is get people to make multiple year pledges. There are lines there for $1,000 a year for 3 years, $2,000, $3,000 for 3 years. Maybe that's too much. Maybe it's not enough. I can't put a price tag on what the experience is that people have when they see plays here, and nor do I want to. There is an intrinsic value to this relationship. I hope you feel rewarded by giving to North Carolina Stage Company. I just wanted you to know what kind of return on investment that donation gets. And it is appreciated by those people that have those experiences, that have those transformational experiences. The whole goal is to take it from this transaction to a transformation, and that's what we try to do. So if you can be a part of our giving, we would love it. If you are a part of our giving, we love you. We love you regardless of whether you give or not, because all of you support the theater in your own special way by attending plays here, by getting other people to come. But this is the time of year we ask people to consider a gift and become one of those very intelligent and extremely attractive. But here's the truth of the matter. Every arts organization in Asheville depends on their individual donors, because here's the thing. There is no organization in Asheville or Buncombe County or Western North Carolina that provides a grant or any support for operating funds for arts organizations. All my colleagues in every other city that you can think of, Charlotte, Raleigh, Durham, and Fayetteville, have a system in place where they can get operating support from a grant. And that just does not exist here. My colleagues across the state are like, what? You're kidding. But it's true. It's not malicious, it's just, it's never happened here despite our best efforts. And so all arts organizations rely on the generosity of the individual donor. That's where it happens. So thank you for considering that. And we will take them as you leave, or you can send them later. If you have more questions, we are always available. Steve is always available. I am always available. There's information in the on the sheet, on the envelope, to get in touch with other questions. But we hope you will consider a multiple-year gift. What that does for us, it allows us to see what we can count on for the coming year. It creates a sense of stability in an unstable environment, and that is nonprofit arts. So we hope you will consider that. We have a treat for you as we finish up tonight. One of the stars of Brave New World agreed to come in on his day off and sing a song for you. It's my pleasure to introduce to you very good guy. He'll tell you a little bit about himself, but please welcome to the stage Justin Matthew Sargent.
Hey guys, how goes it? It looks so different in here without all the seats in it. It's really nice. We should do a little like midnight cabaret thing. We should get a. So, how many of you guys have seen Brave New World so far? I'm sorry that I put such a jerk. I wanted to do something a little different for you guys here tonight. But before I do this, I wanted to say thank you so much for having us here. You guys have at least 5 people from New York, and there might be a couple more that have come to do this show here. And I can only speak to my own personal experience and to my own personal reasons for doing the show. I worked with John McDaniel, who was our co-composer and music supervisor on a show, an ill-fated Broadway show called Bonnie and Clyde, which Frank Waldhorn wrote. We ran for 30 performances, and then we closed. But that relationship with John is part of the reason I'm here today, because he called me and said, I've been working on this thing for a few years now, and there's this role that I'd love for you, and I would love for you to come do it. It's in Asheville, North Carolina. And I said, well, I've never heard of that place. And every single other person that I said I was going to ask for, they're like, oh my God, that place is amazing! Well, I guess I gotta go. But for the last, I've been lucky enough to have been in 3 different Broadway productions. I've been incredibly lucky to be a part of those productions. And where I am in my career currently is I'm no longer pursuing roles that have been done by other people, unless they're revivals of new musicals. But I've been a replacement in Rock of Ages. I replaced Constantine Maroulis, and in Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, I replaced Reeve Carney. And so I'm looking, to create something that's my own, that I can call my own, and that I can, share with an audience. And I've been doing these original productions of brand new shows for the last 2 years since Spider-Man closed. This is the 4th one that I've done, which is the premiere production of a new musical, and I have never been treated better than I've been treated here. This, like Charlie spoke a little bit. Yeah. Charlie, spoke a little bit about going above and beyond, and I can certainly attest to that. He has certainly done that, and I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for having us here. We're having a really, really, really great time. We've been here for 5 weeks, and it feels like we've been here for 2. It's really been fantastic. We're loving it, and if you have any suggestions on breweries that we haven't been to. So, anyways, without further ado, I'd like to sing one of my favorite songs for you. One of my inspirations vocally and emotionally is Jeff Buckley, who we lost tragically, short in his career and his life. And so I'm going to sing a little bit of Hallelujah for you. And assisting me is Mr. Matt Kinney on the guitar from our fantastic band for Brave New World. Take a seat for this one. I do a lot of running around in the show. All right, here we go. Well, I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the 4th, the 5th, the minor fall and the major
someone